to some extent.
I love that. All right, well, we can go ahead and have a seat and scoot up. Don't hide in the back. We are going to hang out up front today. All right. Well, welcome. I'm excited. We've got our new time today, so we will see how this goes and see what other women start to find us. So it's going to be fun. We always love to start with connection, and we believe that by asking better questions, and by getting great with our answers, that we can create better connection. So I would love for you guys to choose a question out of... Yeah, you can go ahead and grab them. Choose a question. And the pink ones, those are kind of light and fun. The ivory colors, those bring you a little bit deeper into self-reflection. So you might have to think a little bit more on those questions. And then the beige colors, those ones, or the rose color, that one is a little bit deeper. So you can kind of choose what level of question you want to play at. And we are going to go ahead and we are going to ask each other the questions that we have and answer them. It doesn't have to be like super long to answer it, but enough to where we feel like we know a little bit more about you. So if like your question is like, what is life teaching you right now? I might say something like, don't despise the day of small beginnings. And that even if something is small, it can be really rich and powerful. And even earlier today, I was listening to one of a leader that I follow, and she was saying that everything small or everything great starts out small. So whether that is this group, whether that is your YouTube channel, whether that is a podcast, whether that is even the next book that I'm writing, that is right. I have to start with the first few words before it turns into a book, and before it turns into whatever keynote message, and before it turns into all of these other things. So everything great starts small, and to be okay with like starting over and being okay with the small things, because that means that you can only go up from there. So that's what life is teaching me. So that was kind of an example of like, okay, that was my question. That would be a little bit of what I would share about what's going on in my life and what life is teaching me. So is that making sense as far as the questions that we have? All right. So let's do, since we like to get out of our comfort zone in the room, and even though there's just a few of us here, we still like to use the mic, and we still like to like face that fear, and we still like to come up and be seen and heard and known, because remember, we actually believe that you don't need to find your voice, that you actually have a voice, you just need to be empowered to use it. And so that is part of why we bring women up to the front, and we get the mic in their face and in their hands, so that they can hear their voice from the mic, like from the speaker. And it's a little weird at first, and then all of a sudden you're like, no, actually, like this is my voice, and I'm being empowered to use it in a really powerful way. So, Kirsty, I'll have you start with your question, and I'm going to have you come on up, share your question, and I want you to also answer your question, just like what I did, how I said, okay, if my question was, what's life teaching me, I'm going to answer it, and then you ladies are also going to get to answer Kirsty's question, and then we'll rotate to Victoria, we'll rotate to Lauren. Sound good?
Okay.
All right.
All right.
All right, so you guys know I'm Kirsty, and I picked this color because I knew it was a little bit more intimate. But my question is, what kind of legacy do you dream of leaving behind? And I love this question because I feel like as we are little and we grow up, it's always about wealth and about what we leave to our kids, and it's always about stuff. And then as I really started stepping into my faith, I realized that I really want my legacy to be Jesus. That I'm teaching my kids what that means, the foundation, what that looks like, so that when I'm gone, it's not like, oh, she was really successful, and oh, she did X, Y, Z. It's like, no, she really loved Jesus, and she left that legacy behind. So that is really the dream legacy that I am leaving behind. So, who would like to go next?
Okay, good one.
Do we answer hers too?
You can stay there and answer them when it's your question. You can stay up there. Yeah,
okay.
You just stay up there.
Okay.
All right.
So the legacy that I would want to leave behind, similar to yours as well too. Nothing about material stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, I have this feeling that money is in abundance, and you can find it any way that you possibly want to. But at the end of the day, it's the skills, it's the foundation, it's your belief, it's your morals, your ethics, it's all the things that we want to instill into our children. I mean, we wouldn't have children if we didn't want to pass that on, you know? And I think leaving that behind and really giving them that word of wisdom, those things like, oh, what would mom do in this situation? You know, like, oh, mom would do this in this situation. Like, I want to leave that kind of stuff for my children. I'll stop there, actually.
Yes.
Good.
Agreed.
Are you gonna do yours?
Do you want to answer
yeah.
that?
Oh,
You
yeah.
answer
You answer yours. Yeah. Ooh, so my legacy. I really feel like what I want to leave behind is more access to what my knowledge base is. So I feel really called to show up and share the way babies and kids can move, but not, again, just to like a one-on-one client, but like the one-on-many, to make this information accessible to the whole world in a way that feels attainable and feels like parents could do it little by little and make progress. And I really feel like the most me and the most living in my like legacy and in my mission when I show up for those things, even though they're hard.
Be like the world encyclopedia when it comes to that stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, and I feel like this legacy too extends to like women in the world.
Yeah.
Not just my family.
But I think it's great. It is a great mindset because it reminds us of not just what we're doing, but of how we're being. And our legacy showing up how we're being more so than just what did I accomplish today.
Serving.
So I think I can even take that mentality and show up in that way while I serve online and stuff. Yeah,
That's good. Okay, so I'm Victoria Tommy, and the question that I have is, what has been the lesson that has shown up for you multiple times in your life? And when I think of this question, I think back to a Bible study that I recently did, and when I read this, it was like this life epiphany, like, oh, this is this situation, that situation, and it just all domino effect, right? And then the Bible study, what part of the Bible that specifically was the book of Job, if you're familiar with that. But basically what it talks about is that, and I'm going to give like the layman version of this, but essentially there was this righteous, successful, wealthy, healthy, very fruitful individual. And he was a holy person and never did wrong. Shunned away evil, right? That was Job. And in his life, God knew that he was a righteous person, and he even put a bet like thing on the table when it came to this. He had not God, but Satan came up and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna take away all his goodies, take away all his wealth and health and all these things, and let's see if he's gonna be righteous in that case." Long story short, that's what happened. He was still righteous. It was all good in the end because he stayed true to his faith.
when I was little, I guess I was born with Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is a thyroid disease. And I've had it my whole entire life. I had a very, very difficult time having children because of that. That's where I think that lesson really stuck to me, because I kept thinking in my head, like, why was I dealt all these unfortunate cards in my hand? You know, like, I look at everyone around me, they have the long stick, I have the short stick. But instead of thinking that way, and instead of cursing, like, oh, dang it, like, why was I given those genetics? It was the second that I really focused on my faith and really focused on, okay, this is what I have, and if I give my mercy and if I give my good in the right direction, the good will happen. And I have been successfully without medication for, I think, like 8 years now. And I've had 2 successful kids, or 2 successful pregnancies, but not just in that as well too. I mean, then I'll quit after this. But in my job, I cold call. I literally go show up to people's offices. And I mean, that is the most uncomfortable thing in the whole entire world, right? I cold called this one owner. This guy was very rude to me. Cussed at me on the phone, like, how dare you call me in the middle of the workday? F you. You know, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to end that there. Driving to that specific owner's location, because I was going to go surprise him with some goodies. I got sideswiped by a semi-truck with my boss in the car. Not my fault. Not, you know, it was just a really awful experience, right? But I kept thinking to myself, like, okay, I can be mad at the situation. I can be mad that I got cussed at. I can be mad about all these things, but I didn't. And I really focused on being that soldier of, in my eyes, I feel like I'm like that soldier of always focusing on like faith and focusing on the positive things, right? And the second I focused more on that versus like, oh shit, what just happened to me? You know, it started to go right. And I reached out to that owner and I said, hey, I was gonna show up today and I had a box full of goodies for you. I explained this what happened. I think he felt sympathy for me, but he let me come to his office the next day and I got the meeting and now I'm about to close the deal. But it's because I focused on what was more important in that moment. So anyways, long story short, that's what I want to say.
I love that. I love that. So what was your question again?
Oh, what has been a lesson that has shown up for you multiple times in your life?
Do you want me to go? For me, we'll just talk here. At first, I didn't have anything when you first asked. I was like, "Oh, that's a really hard one." And then I thought about some of the weird things that have happened in my life and some of the good things. And what I came up with was that when I make a decision, typically the thing that I actually want is on the other side of that. So when I was in college, I was like the girl the boys always wanted around but never wanted to like commit to. And then I literally refused to like hang out with any guy after. I was like, no, if you don't want to be my boyfriend, like this is done. And then I met another guy and he had the same name as the other guy, which is hilarious. And I was like, no, like we're not hanging out or doing anything. We're not spending any time together until we're Facebook official. And so what was funny about that though is like that's a silly story, but what I found was that I put a boundary. I made a decision. I was like, I'm no longer willing to accept this level of circumstances. I'm committing to this next thing. Either it's going to happen or it's not, but like I'm making a decision there. And so I feel like that has happened in different ways. Like I'm happily married now, not to the guy named Kevin, but either of the guys named Kevin. But it's so interesting, like how like almost like being like forced to make a decision because you're just like over the circumstances, and having a boundary can really change different things in your life and be in different areas too.
Can I add 2 cents to that real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I've been married, I've been divorced, through all that jazz. And I feel as if the second I took the time to figure out my boundaries, it's when the universe just laid out the cards and just created it. I like think about it all this time, like when I got with my husband now, we talked, hung out, whatever, you know, and same thing. I was like, hey, I don't even want to kiss you. I don't even want to hold your hand until you and I lay down our non-negotiables and really figure out like what are your values, what are my values, and then we can even see if this is worth us being serious about. But it's setting those boundaries that light up the dark path for us.
Ooh, girl, you too, in the words.
I feel it.
So good.
Repeat that again.
What
you just said.
I said, laying out your boundaries lights up the dark path.
That's a good one.
Did you want to answer what pops up?
Yes, I will answer. Okay. Lessons in my life. Wow, if I had an hour. Okay. I really feel like as I just look back, like you guys were talking about, like the way that God has just worked through me to allow my faith to really be the foundation of what I do, and allowing that to also lead me to opportunities of healing and going through certain situations, and always having that really be what carries me through, and not falling into the slippery slope of like you were talking about, poor me, victimy, why am I going through this, instead of like, no, like God's got me through this, and this is gonna happen, and it's gonna be okay, and always having that positive outlook and encouragement even for myself, because there are so many things that I've gone through in my life that I could easily just be that person, but I've God has shown me that it is a gift, like, because there are some people that are very strong in their faith, but they still struggle with the discouragement and why is God doing this to me, and what, you know, like, and I actually don't ever have that never crosses my mind, because I just know that like even through the darkness there is a light, there is an opportunity to grow, there is an opportunity on the other side of what you're going through. And it's not that God intentionally hurts you or puts circumstances in your way to intentionally be like, girl, you've got lessons. You know, no, like He knows, yes, this is going to do things for me, through me, with me, and to me. But at the same time, there's love in there, there's courage, there's hope, and there's peace. Even in times where it was like, I knew that I did something, and He was like, yeah, this is going to happen. And I was just like, oh gosh, okay. Like, just like accepting, like, okay, like I know, like I'm a woman of faith and I should pray for my husband. So that wasn't right. Like, I'm not going to pray for my husband because he's not doing X, Y, Z. And God was like, oh. And I was like, yeah, for a whole month. And then I was like, oh my gosh, God, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have, like, that was so wrong. I should never have done that. And He was like, okay, yeah, you're absolutely right. But this is what you're going to go through. And I was like, all right, cool. You know, but just because of, like, I mean, obviously I recognize that was not a very faithful way to, like, store my husband during his time, because he had leukemia and he was sick, and it was just a lot. So always understanding that even during those circumstances, my faith has just always been the giver and the leader of my life, and continuing to have Him show me that and show me the gift that I have through that, and even protection out throughout my life, that even when I wasn't following Him, knowing that I'm like really alive because He protected me through situations that I shouldn't have been in. But when you're pretty much raising yourself, we just kind of go through the motions of life, and you make decisions that are not great, but nobody's there to like guide you and say, hey, let's not do that decision, or you know. So just always seeing His hedge of protection over me throughout my life too, and I think that's really where my faith comes from, is like knowing His protection has always saved me, and I give Him my life for that. So that's my lesson.
Girl.
What a beautiful way to show that you're like one of God's soldiers when He puts you in those type of situations. I mean, definitely, even those tough situations where we're like, dang, this really sucks going through this right now. But no, I mean, definitely, especially for your children, you know, to be like, wow, she's still pushing through, and that perseverance and that love and that commitment and that trust that you've built with God is then showing them like, okay, this is what unconditional love is. This is what loyalty is, and that gives me chills, honestly.
I love that. Thank
I
you.
love that.
I like you.
That's some deep grace. Like, deep grace.
That's why I was like, I could literally talk about that forever.
I was like, I actually skipped my Bible study for this time, so. Sorry, it's coming out a little bit.
That's okay.
That's amazing.
It tends to
That's like the
happen.
best thing, I feel like. Okay, so I'm Lauren, and my question is, what moment in your life fills you with the most pride? And I feel like you could obviously go a million different ways with that. And I picked a moment that could have easily never happened. So I went to physical therapy school, I got a doctorate, it was really hard, but really awesome. And right before I graduated, I read this article by a lawyer, and it was for ambitious people. And what they said was, we are constantly living in the future and we miss so much. So they basically made it from like a lawyer's point of view. It's like, okay, well, when I'm in high school, I'm thinking about what college I'm going to get into. When I'm in college, I'm thinking about, graduating and then taking the LSAT. And when I'm taking the LSAT, I'm thinking about, well, do I get a high enough score to get into law school? And then when I'm in law school, I'm thinking about graduating law school. And then when I'm graduating law school, I'm thinking about the board. And then when I'm taking the board, I'm thinking about what job I'm going to get. And then when you're in the job, you're thinking about making partner or whatever happens to lawyers in their careers. And he's like, and then your partner, and you look back at this long list of accomplishments and you realize you never took the time to celebrate one of them. And I was like, whoa, that sounds horrible. And so I was in physical therapy school, and I was like the last semester when I read this. So it was like very good timing, like divine timing, probably. And so I made the decision. We had 1 week off in between when you took your last practical and when you graduated. And the purpose of that was, in case you didn't pass that last practical, then everyone had a week to hopefully pass it in their second or third attempts. And so I reached out to my mom. My now husband was deployed at the time, so that was like another hard thing. And I was like, I don't want this moment in my life to be really sad. And so I talked to my mom, I talked to my dad, and then I talked to my best friend, who, by the way, hates flying. And I was like, Casey, you have to get on the plane. Just show up at the airport, get on the plane, drink as many Bloody Marys as you want or need, and we'll just pick you up. Like, you just stumble out, it'll be fine. And so what we ended up doing was taking almost like a week and traveling around California, is where I was going to school at the time. And it was the most fun random vacation week of my life. And I'm so proud of that, because it could have so easily not happened. And I think it's so easy to celebrate some of like the socially acceptable things, like getting married, getting engaged. There's like planned baby shower, wedding shower, those type of events. But I think it's much harder to celebrate the little things. And so I take that with me, and that's why I want to buy these damn balloons.
Yes.
For my YouTube milestones, because I'm like, I put so much work into this thing, and I'm so passionate about this thing, and I feel so called to this thing. But it literally lives in the Ethernet on a computer in some server in California somewhere. And if we don't take the time to celebrate things, like, we're gonna look back in 20 years and be like, wow, I did a lot. But like, did I ever take a moment to honor those little things? So that's what I'm really proud of.
I love that.
I love that.
What I'm really proud of, I love that. So,
I actually feel like we just need to stand up and just go ahead and do it. We're just gonna do it. We're gonna own it.
So, similar to you, when you first asked that question, I'm thinking like, what am I gonna say? Like, there's a bajillion things I could say right now, you know, but when I think of what I'm truly proud of most, it actually comes down to when I taught my daughter how to brush her teeth by herself. And the reason I'm very proud of that is because she, from the second that she got teeth, she's like, I don't want to do it. I don't want that thing in my mouth. I don't like the way it tastes. It's just, we tried all the different things, all the different kind of toothbrushes, the one that goes in your mouth and brushes the teeth for you. She's never liked it. And at this point, I'm a little spitfire too of a daughter. And she's getting all mad at me. She's kicking and kind of screaming at this point, not wanting to brush her teeth. And I just remember just stopping and like taking a deep breath. And I asked her, like, how would you want this to do this? How would you want this experience to go? And she's like, well, I don't want she was like, I don't want my teeth to get hurt. Because I told her, like, hey, you're going to get cavities, you're going to brush your teeth. She's like, I don't want my teeth to hurt, but I also don't like brushing my teeth. And so we talked about it and we walked through, like, okay, well, walked her through it, talked it out, and I just kept using, like, okay, how would it make you feel? How would it make you feel if you did this by yourself? How would it make you feel if you didn't brush your teeth? How would it make you feel if you didn't do it for 6 months and then your teeth fall? Like, if you got a cavity. And we just went through this whole, like, process of her developing it in her own head of, like, all right, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I do want to brush my teeth. And then after she brushed her teeth, she said to me, like, Mom, I'm proud of myself. And I was like, oh, that's how I bawled my eyes out. I was super proud of her, but just the fact that she said, not like, oh, I'm proud of you, like, thanks for helping me, but the fact that she said, Mom, I'm so proud of myself. Like, that was that moment I think every mom or every parent or every role model wants in their young person's life, when they're able to do something because of the fact that you took the time and you figured out a way that made sense to them. So that's what I'm proud of this year.
That's so good.
Okay. So, I have a couple things I'm proud of. I feel like it's kind of cliche when you're a mom because you're always like proud of your kids, but I'm first going to start with myself because I'm proud of myself for where I've come and the journey that I've been on and what I've been able to do with myself to get to where I am today, because that is, like you said, we should celebrate our wins, and I feel like what God has done through me and the process that I've put myself through is a celebration, because it also in turn, and I can't remember if I saw this like on a video, but it was like a mom being proud of herself for raising her kids, because I don't think we really take like appreciation for, oh, I did that, right? Like we're like, oh, well, they're just good character, blah, blah, blah. God's good, right? Like we just are blessed with great kids, which I really am. But it was like, she was like giving this reminder of like, they are who they are because of the way that they're raised. But yes, obviously there's blessings in that and Jesus is in that, but to just tell yourself like how great of a parent you actually are, and that their accomplishments are also your accomplishments too, because you've raised them to be these humans. And looking at my 16-year-old and my 13-year-old, like, especially my 16-year-old, like, I was like, wow, like, we've actually raised him very well, and I'm very proud of that because he has self-respect for himself and he says no, and so it was like, and so when I saw that video, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I should be proud of myself as a mom too, because I have helped try to, through my own healing journey, also change the way that I parent too. So that's why it kind of goes together, because when they were little, I was kind of crazy. So it was like, yeah, so you just kind of go through these motions and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so like my mother. I don't really want to be that. So then you're like trying to undo. So it's like this slow process of like, you're trying to undo certain things, and then you're like, you see certain things like from your childhood and you're like, oh my gosh, no. And then like, I look back like just on circumstances that we had when I had kids, and then I was like, now like if I was parenting, yes, it would be done differently. But I just realized like, you parent what you know, and God's just shown me that no matter the age of your children, whether they're teenagers or young adults or tiny toddlers or elementary school age, you can always parent differently, and you can change your relationship with your kids at any age. And so when I realized that, I just kept going with that. And so I'm also proud of the way that we raised our children and the way that I changed myself to raise them in a certain way, and seeing that through their actions, and then just seeing myself and what God's continuing to do through me as well. So that is what I'm proud of.
I love that.
I love it. I love it. I'll share this one too. I am proud of, I think it's not necessarily like, I'm not viewing it as an accomplishment compared to how empowered I felt during the process of home births. I had 2 home births with my babies, And I actually love birth and the laboring, like just the process of what that is for and what it means for a woman's body. And I think in today's society, it's this really interesting view of birth that we have as a collective of the woman yelling and screaming, and it's this like really freaked out whatever thing, and all the nurses and it's like this really chaotic thing. And I like pushed unsubscribe to that narrative, and I chose to create my own. And I chose to create this really incredible and empowering and supportive and peaceful and calm environment for birth and for this like birthing process. And I think that this can be related to even in things in business and in hopes and dreams that we have, to where we could subscribe to hustle culture, we could subscribe to the like go and the do and then the whatever, and this like it's lonely at the top and I'm just gonna bulldoze people and whatever all the way like to like my whatever I'm gonna like my goal. And like I like unsubscribed from that as well, and I like created this beautiful rhythm of a business that I love, that I get to be in my gifts, and I've been able to take some of the hardest lessons, the repeated lessons of rejection and the repeated lessons of being hurt, especially by other women, and taken those into now my superpowers of creating connection and creating community and creating belonging. And I have been able to like birth these dreams, if you will, in this, like in this analogy of like in these like really empowered environments. But it's not without the realization or the understanding. I'll go back to the birth analogy, or the actual home birth. There's this point in birth where we hit what's called transition. And I know, Lauren, you've heard me talk about this point of transition, where it's actually not more efforting and pushing that needs to happen to birth this baby. It's actually is a deeper surrender. And it's an understanding that my baby and I are actually we're teammates, right? And it's this beautiful bond that we have. And I'm not like trying to like push this baby out and get, it's like, no, like we're a team in this experience. And I remember during birth and even in my preparation, there was this mantra that always stood out to me, and it was that the contractions or the surges, that they're not more powerful than me because they are me.
I love that.
And I think that we can take that into business and say, okay, like this idea or this dream or this business or this channel or this message or this whatever it is that I'm trying to do, it's actually is not more powerful than me. It's because it is me.
Oh yeah. That's good. You do this every single session. You just like.
And so in that like empowering environment, like I think that we get to unsubscribe to whatever is like whatever narrative that we want to unsubscribe to, and we get to create the beliefs and the environment and the people around us that help us to feel empowered in what it could be like one of the most beautiful experiences, whether it's a physical baby, whether you are like, like bringing forth the stream of a business or a book or whatever it is that you're dreaming and working with and working towards. So I think that is probably one of the most things I'm proud of. So yeah, I love that. All right. Well, we are going to, great questions, you guys. You guys can kind of pass your questions and can just stick them right there on the table. We're going to get into today's educational piece. Sometimes we have guest speakers. Sometimes I'll come in and share some different things because I am
Multi-passionate.
multi-passionate, multifaceted, but I have also done a lot of things in my entrepreneurial journey. I have had to learn them the hard way. And so I've learned a lot of how to do things. So it has taken me longer to get to places instead of, which now I love to like find a who. If you don't know how to do something, don't do what I did. And learn how to do all of the things and how to do the funnels and the Facebook ads and the copywriting and the YouTube and the editing and the podcast and the writing the book and the editing the book and the creating of the whatever sales page and then being the tech person and then being the janitor and being that was me, right? And so I have this wealth of knowledge, whether it is online or digital marketing or brick and mortar business. And so I'm grateful for that, but it has also taken me a really, really long time to actually like figure out how to say no, figure out how to stay in my zone of genius, figure out how to say, oh, actually, I could learn how to do that, but I'm just gonna like find someone else to do that for me because it's gonna take me a lot longer to get to the goal if I have to figure out how to do that next thing. So sometimes I share, which I actually love to do. So today we're going to be talking about content, about social media content strategy. And all of the big experts for this year, they're saying that long form content was back. We went through kind of a phase when like TikTok and Reels and all of these short video content forms came out. And it was like this flood of content. Instagram was paying people. I made some money by making some Instagram Reels, and people were getting paid to make Instagram Reels. They were they were pushing them out in the algorithm. They were only highlighting the Reels. They were only highlighting the short form video content. And we have kind of hit this point collectively where we actually want a little bit more than a 1 minute clip. And so what is trending now for this year is long form. Now, when it comes to content strategy, it doesn't mean that we get rid of the short form, but it does mean that we actually come back to long form content, and then we harness it for our short form content. And I'm gonna get into a little bit of what this looks like. So long form, these are things like your YouTube channel, and your videos. These are things like your podcasts, these are your newsletters, your blog, your long form. So this is where it could be, it's the more than the 1 minute, it is your teaching or you're educating on something, and it's gonna take you some time. And then your short form, this is your quote tiles, your TikToks or your Reels, or your pictures and your posts and your quick little captions. Your short form should actually start to now come from your long form. And then I'm going to talk about this strategy that a lot of some big leaders and big influencers in the social media world are doing. So what they're doing is they are back to long form now. So whether it's their blog, their YouTube channel, YouTube is getting a big uptick with influencers again. It was podcast, and it still is podcast, but now people are doing video podcasts, and so they're like adding in again video. So long form. And then what you do is you take your long form content. So for example, for me, I'll share a little bit. I'm starting to follow this strategy as well. I'm getting things into place for this. And we're moving on Saturday, so it's not happening until after that. But anyways, so long form. For me, for a while, the long form that I did, I dabbled a little bit in YouTube and have a few thousand subscribers and have a couple viral videos and that kind of thing. But for the most part, I haven't done much with it. My long form has been podcasts. And that was just something that really worked for me as far as being a mom, as far as I could pull out my phone and pull out my headphones and I could share like a thought. And I still do that and still will, but I'm also adding in video now. So I'm popping back over to YouTube. And so there'll be some fun shows and some fun episodes and video things long form wise. But what we do want to do with our long form content is then that's where we break it into short form. And when we go back to the short form, what this should look like. So say you have a podcast or say you have a YouTube channel. This is where you would take from your episode or from your show a quote, and this is where you want it to be. Have you seen those they're like pretty trendy, like the faceless Instagram accounts where it's like Empire Boss Babe, whoever, and it's just like the quotes, like just a blank white quote, empowering whatever, and they have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, like always get shares. That's what this quote is. Okay, so one of your how you break out some of your long form or some of your short form from your long form, one of them should be a shareable quote. And it should be something that, whether it is said from your episode or like a mic drop moment or something that will absolutely be shareable. It is just letters on the screen and white backgrounds are being shared most right now. Then the next one is your TikTok. Another short form is either a TikTok or an Instagram reel. And again, that is like up to 90 seconds, but the ones that get watched the most are less than 30 seconds, and it's 7 seconds. It's actually like a sweet spot. So it's like really hard to get much into 7 seconds. Or if you are doing something for your podcast or for your YouTube, it should actually either be a tip, like a clip of a tip that was taken from the episode, or it should be something that almost looks like a commercial. And it almost looks like a teaser. Like, here's a little teaser about what we were talking about and this question, and it should leave what are called open loops in people's minds, so that they are curious enough to go to your long form content and go either watch the full episode or listen to the full episode or read the full newsletter. And then there should always be either a picture or just something that you can either repurpose, like you can take this same quote and put it next to a picture and put it in the caption. Or again, it could be a picture from that episode or something branded to then take a quote or something from your long form or a tip from your long form or the 3 things that you talked about from your long form, and then it gets put into a post. Okay, so there should be a picture, a video, and a quote. At least one from every single long form of content that you have. And then they should all lead right back into your long form content. Okay, so you record your long form content, your podcast or your YouTube or you're writing your newsletter. And then it gets broken out into short form and distributed onto social media channels. And they should all then feed right back into, and make sure you go check out the full episode on the podcast, or make sure you go check out the full episode on the YouTube channel, or make sure you go read the blog post on the website. All right, so everything gets filtered right back into long form content that you created. But here's the secret when it comes to content strategy, is that all of this, so all of your long form content, all of your social media, so this is still, unless it's a blog, it still is what's called real estate in the marketing world that you rent. Okay, so if it's a podcast, if you're not keeping your audios, Apple could shut your whatever down anytime that they want. YouTube could give you a ding, it could shut your channel down anytime that you want. Instagram Reels, TikTok, Facebook groups, all that stuff, you can get what I like to call like the Mark Zuckerberg slap and your whatever thing can get shut down, and you could lose all of it. And a lot of times, I remember when this first happened to me, it was a number of years ago. And when it was kind of like when Facebook was first coming out, and I had a Facebook group, and I was actually in the health and wellness industry, and I had a brick and mortar gym, and I had a bunch of clients in there, and a bunch of potential clients in there, and I would do workouts, and I would do, fitness tips and nutrition tips. And I remember for some reason my Facebook account got hacked and shut down, and I lost all of it. It was like the main way that I was communicating with clients. It was the main way that I was communicating with potential clients. It was the main way I was marketing my business. I remember all of it got shut down. And this was, again, years ago. And I remember I was like, this is not good. Like, I can't get a hold of anyone. I can't communicate with anyone. How am I going to market my business? So I got it back up like a couple days later, but it got me thinking, I'm like, oh, like this could happen again. So I actually need to do something that is going to allow me to retain the information for clients and for prospective clients. And so that's when email lists came into play, and now it's text lists. And so all of this stuff, unless again it's a blog on your own website, all of this stuff that is rented real estate compared to rented real estate, if you will, compared to real estate or a business asset that you own, which is email address and text list. So everything that you are doing on here should all lead either into an email list or a text list that allows you to nurture your customers, your potential customers, that has like a drip sequence into like letting them know about your culture or your values or what you stand for, and then you're able to communicate with them, right? Because people don't do business with us unless we know them, like them, and trust them. And so the idea of taking anything long form and short form and always having a call to action, always having some way that people can exchange either an email address or a phone number in order for you to be able to directly communicate with them and to nurture them and then to be able to offer your products or services. All of the long form and short form stuff nurtures them, gets eyeballs on what your stuff is, but it should all then lead directly into landing pages, lead captures, freebies, any courses or anything like that, newsletters, text lists, anything like that you can then capture their contact information and continue to communicate with them outside of social media. And then, so if you look at this content strategy, so every single month you should plan 1 to 2 long form type things. So say it's a podcast, 1 to 2 per week. It gets broken out each week into your short form. Right, so you say you do 1 episode per week, then you're going to have a reel, a quote, and a post from that episode that all then gets distributed and leads back into your long form content, which also there's always calls to actions for your email list, there's always calls to actions for your freebie, there's always calls to actions for your text list, okay? And then what you do at the end of the month, after you've done this, is you analyze, right? So here's where you could create all the long form that you want, but if you aren't looking at what your audience is actually, you could create all the short form content that you want, but if you aren't actually looking at what your audience is loving and creating more of that, you could just be creating more crappy stuff, right? So for example, say you are a personal trainer and you are just creating all of these videos on YouTube, and all of a sudden one of your videos, and it talks about like this, like a great ab workout. And then you're doing legs, and you're doing arms, and you're doing whatever, and they're just like mediocre views, like they're just getting a few views, but all of your ab workouts are getting a ton of views. What would that tell you? Like, oh, okay, perfect. Let's make more core workouts. Let's make more things that our people are searching for, that there's energy behind. I always love to look at things like, where's the energy at? Where's the buzz at? What are people wanting right now? And so you want to look at the analytics of what you posted, what you shared, what you wrote about or recorded, and then say, okay, perfect. What's working? What are people loving and wanting to listen to or watch? And how can I create more of that? How can I expand on a topic? How can I create 5 points from this? How can I reword this thing? How can I look at this from a different angle? How can I do the opposite of this same topic? So now all of a sudden you're taking maybe that one really great topic that has gotten a lot of feedback, and now you're recreating different things around that same topic, right? Like I'm sure you could probably create, like Lauren, you could probably create tons of content around one topic, right? And all of a sudden you have multiple facets of this one topic that a lot of people are really wanting to learn about. And then what this does, when you actually use that type of a strategy, when you look at your numbers and you recreate what people are wanting and recreating or even repurposing, I'll give you an example. So a lot of podcasters, towards the end of the year, they do like, hey, we're gonna like replay our most popular episodes. Duh.
Yeah.
Right?
I love when they do it too.
Totally.
I listen to all of them.
Totally, right? We're gonna replay our favorite episodes, or we're gonna replay the 5 like top clips of the whatever, or here's my top 5 favorite posts, or here's my 2 most viral reels, and all of a sudden, like, it goes viral again, and it gets more views again. Like, there's a reason for that. So paying attention to that is really important. And then every single month, rinse and repeat. And I remember when I started to learn about this concept, this concept made a lot more sense to me when it came to stories and speaking. And I first heard about it from comedians. Now, when comedians first start out, they actually have, let's say they have 10 jokes. And they go and they do their 10 jokes in front of an audience. And they read the audience. And the audience is like, that one's very good. And then they really laugh at this other one. Now that comedian is like, perfect, okay, I got one, I'm gonna put it, like I'm gonna keep that one in my arsenal, and I'm gonna redo 9, okay? And then they go to their next show. And then maybe they get like 3 funny jokes out of 10. And then they take those 3 and they go back and they revamp the rest of the 7 until where all of a sudden now they show up on a big stage and they have 10 hilarious jokes. And you're like, how did they get so funny? Well, it's because of the trial and error and the trial and error, and they're watching what works and they're watching what doesn't work. And so the idea is, I think a lot of times we can be on social media and we just post and pray. And we just keep posting, and it just be really crappy content. We just keep posting crappy content, and nobody is watching it. And then all of a sudden we get something that lands, and we're like, great, that was a great one. And then we just like keep going back to like crappy content, or we just keep going back to posting whatever. Instead of saying, ooh, okay, there's energy behind this one. There's traction behind this one. How can I duplicate this, and how can I expand on this topic? And then you harness that energy, and then you start to recreate it for your next month, right? So this is a month strategy, and then you look at what works, throw out what doesn't work, and for your next month planning, now you're planning around what worked. And then same thing for the next month after that. And then after a while, all of a sudden, all of your content is getting traction, and all of your content is getting views, and all of your content, like your email list and your text list, all of that starts to grow. And it's because you've done your job at looking at the analytics and paying attention to what is working, and you repeat that, right? It would almost be like, I remember when I was a personal trainer, and someone would come in and they would do like really crappy push-ups, right? You could just like do, or like really crappy squats, right? Like really bad squats. You can do all the squats you want, really, really bad squats, and it's not going to get the results that you want. But all of a sudden, when you have that external view or that correction, saying, actually, let's put your feet here, like, like chest back, chin up a little bit, core in, and all of a sudden you're doing squats a lot better, you're going to get better results. And so when you're doing something correctly, right, so you're looking at, okay, where are the analytics coming from, what are the numbers telling me? Am I still gonna like post, I get this divine whatever inspiration, I'm just gonna like type that and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I will. But I'm also gonna be really, really looking at what's resonating with my audience. And really, really looking at what is landing, and really, really looking at where is like the traction and the energy behind it, and then rinse and repeat. Right? And so the idea, again, is that it all leads back into So these are meant to be shareable to help capture new audience. These are meant to either give a tip or create almost like a commercial for your long form content. And then that could be a quote or your 3 top tips or whatever it might be, picture, call to action, right? And so you're providing value, you're expanding your reach, you're creating intrigue, you're still giving tips or your favorite hacks or whatever it might be. And then all these back into your long content where people can binge watch or listen to more of your stuff. And it nurtures them into knowing, liking, and trusting, and then wanting to either opt into your freebie or your email list or text list, and then buy your products. So that is kind of the social media content strategy. And so if you take that for 1 month, rinse and repeating, even if you do it for 90 days, track your results. Like take a screenshot right now of what your Instagram is and do it for 90 days and see what happens. I'm going to be doing the same thing, and I'm excited to see what the results are. So, any questions about any of this stuff? Yes?
Do you have favorite, like, apps? I feel like the hard part is, like, I literally will follow YouTubers and be like, how do you utilize your long form content into short form content? And so in the past I've like just screen recorded like the first part of the YouTube video. I know I can take like the actual video and then just change it into like a vertical, but I tried CapCut and like the titles were glitching and stuff, and I'm like, okay, at a certain point I feel like short form is like a whole other skill set, and so I do feel like at a certain point you have to like commit to one to be able to like be sustainable there, and then add another piece to the pie, and then another piece to the pie. So I don't know. Anyways, like that you can like outsource like the repurposing of the content that you find helpful?
Yeah, for sure. So I will share a couple of my favorite resources, and I will even just like, I probably just pull that actually.
While you're doing that too, when I was doing my content for my last role, there's a handful of people here as well too, but just going to like Fiverr.com and finding somebody that you can upload your file to, and then they do all the chopping and make it all cool for you, you know?
So there's that. Another, with all of the AI technology that's out now, there's a lot of really great things that can automatically do it for you. So I'll share a little bit of my process, like what I do with I have an assistant. And so when I either do a podcast or he also does YouTube. So I do my recording, and then it goes into a folder. And there's a couple different things that I use for this different stuff. So one of them is called Minvo, M-I-N-V-O. It's like Descript. It's very similar to Descript, and so I can upload a long form video, and then AI crops. It gives me like 10 different short form videos. It adds my branded. Colors and videos for the captions. So again, it's really similar to Descript, but I got it on, how many are you guys familiar with AppSumo.com?
Yeah.
So I got it on AppSumo, and so I got a lifetime deal, so I'm saving money on it. So I upload then my video into that, and then my assistant goes in and just zhuzhes it up, make sure that there isn't any, like that the words make sense, that the pictures that go along with it make sense. And then from this, he can text it to me, and then it comes right to my phone.
Is it like app and then Sumo? S-U-M-O?
So AppSumo has a lot of different technology.
It's almost like a coupon for like business app.
Yeah, it's like Groupon for apps for entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
If you will.
They have a great refund policy too, because
Totally.
I did buy something through AppSumo, and I was like, yeah, this wasn't like, it was like a beta version, but they didn't say that it was a beta version when I bought it, and I was like, ChatGPT can do the same thing for $20 a month. I think I'll just, right?
Yeah, so ChatGPT is great. Another one, not Castmate, but Castmagic. Castmagic is another one that I love, and this one's for my podcast. And so this one automatically, so then I upload the audio from my podcast into this, and then my assistant. So it gives 10 different options for titles. It gives show notes, and it gives social media posts, it gives newsletter, and it takes everything from that audio, and then AI reproduces a bunch of different stuff from that episode.
And it does that all in Castmagic.
Castmagic, yep. And so then so I record an episode, I upload it into my Google Drive, because I want to keep all of my audio and all of my video. And then I upload it into Castmagic, and I upload it into Minvo. So now there's video and show notes. So then my assistant then takes show notes, takes social media posts, edits any of the short form videos, and then adds it onto podcast hosting, and it gets distributed. And then he also creates the tiles on Canva. So the quote tiles, which again in Castmagic, I don't know why it's not pulling up, but Castmagic, like it will say like, this is a really great quote. And so we'll be able to pull that quote, pop it right into the Canva template that I have for him. And now I have all 3 short form, where it all teases that long form, points right back to the long form, and then my long form points right into either a freebie or a course or an offer or a text list. Make sense?
Yes. Thank you for that.
Yeah. I don't know why this isn't showing up. Maybe it doesn't like the internet, but it is. Yeah. So that's kind of the. Oh, and one other thing that I'm also adding into this, which is really fun, and I still don't even, I'm so proud of myself for this actually, because Pinterest is also a thing. And so from my long form content, my assistant also puts it into a blog on the website, and then he creates 10 different graphics. And then we plug it onto Pinterest as well, because social media, it will be on there for a few hours to get traction. Pinterest pins actually stay live and active, or they stay relevant, if you will, for up to 90 days.
I would argue, so my business bestie in the physical therapy space, she's a pelvic floor therapist, all of her pins, so she's not getting anything extravagant, but she gets 2,000 website visits a month from Pinterest alone, and all of her pins that do really well are older, like over a year old. So like, I think 90 days is what they can like guarantee, but honestly, I feel like it takes 90 days to get traction, and then if they get traction, then they can live. So if they don't get traction, maybe they go to the graveyard to die. But if they do get traction, I feel like they can live for a lot longer.
I just feel as a consumer, I go to Pinterest with something in mind.
Yeah.
You know, like how to, what to.
Pinterest and YouTube are search engines.
Yeah.
Instagram, yes, they do some with SEO, and you can do some on the discovery page, but people are literally going to YouTube and to Pinterest to search for things like how to. Mm-hmm. And you can use the same content with a different image on Pinterest, and so you can also see some of this strategy is actually coming from Jenna Kutcher. She has a really great Pinterest course, and she has it even set up to where if you purchase it, you can give access to an assistant. So I don't even know, I haven't even watched the course, but my guy, I gave him access to it. I purchased it for him to watch it. And he now knows the Pinterest strategy. And then he's doing it. And people are coming to my website, right? And so that's what I love about things like that, to where it's like, the reason I said I'm really proud of myself for that was because past MOs, past method of operations, I would be like, okay, I've got to watch the Pinterest course and I have to learn how to do it, and I have to, and it's like, no, like I can actually like give him access to it and he can learn the strategy. I don't need to know the strategy, and it is working, and it's right. So that's another way that you can then create bring people right back to your long form content is Pinterest. So yeah. Any other questions about this? And then we're watching like all of it. Like we have to be really detached from the outcome. I know sometimes when people are just starting out in business, they can be super attached to the outcome and super attached to like, oh my gosh, like I'm putting this out there. Oh my gosh, like I'm showing up and I'm being seen in that bigger way. And it's like, we actually have to be really detached from the outcome and just know that everything is feedback. Everything is feedback. Go ahead.
And making like offers too, because I will say as a creator, it feels like I'm making offers all the time. But as a consumer, if I go to somebody's website or like I'm on their like YouTube or I'm on their Instagram and like I legitimately would like want to work with them or purchase something that they created, and like I can't find a really clear way to like hand them money for something, I get kind of annoyed. I'm like, well, I don't understand like how I can work with you.
Yeah.
And then I just get frustrated and probably click off and get distracted. So I appreciate when people are super clear, like, hey, this is how you can work with me, stuff at the bottom of emails, and even to like, I have to change my mindset even in my YouTube videos, because I will pitch my book if it's relevant, and I will like walk people through it, and it's probably maybe longer than someone would say to do it, but I think about like podcasts, and like in podcasts there will be like a minute, sometimes like 2 to 3 minutes of ads. And so if I'm literally showing someone how to use a product that is relevant to this video that could help them, I'm like, they're getting value out of this. And so it's something for me too to like show up and make a freaking offer to people, because they might only click on that one video, and if you didn't make an offer in that video, they may not even realize that they actually could work with you outside of this video, right? And so like, here is the link. The link is in the pinned comment. It's in the description, like literally saying exactly where it is located to, or like, hey, there is a link that is literally right above my finger. You could click on it.
No, I love that. And I think that we've gotten past the critical mass of, at first I remember, when it was like when YouTube first came out and we had to like nurture a lot, and you had to like you could never make an offer, and Instagram like you should only like make an offer like 5% of the time or 10% of the time, and it's like even telling people like, or it was like, click on the link in my bio or swipe up or whatever. I feel like we've gotten past the point of critical mass. People know that people are selling things. Like, you don't need to always nurture them for a really, 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 really long time.
Yeah.
Like, if they're on your page, like a lot of people still go to Instagram for business, and they're gonna follow people and they want to do business with people, right? So yes, to like what you're saying, like don't be afraid to make the ask, and don't be afraid to make it multiple times. Like one of my girlfriends, she's killing it. She went from like 0 to 1.5 plus million in a year and a half, and 95% of her Instagram stories and posts are programs and offers and buy this and here's my link, and she's killing it. 95% of her content.
When I think
is
about
an
that,
offer.
I didn't interrupt you like that, but I think about that like in normal business too, like everyday business. You know what I mean? Like, no business owner is going to blatantly say like, "Yeah, I like your product. Here's my money. Take it." They want you to lead them. They want They want to be given the value. They want to be told what to do. They want to know what to expect. So, I mean, lay your cards out, you know?
Well, they always say, how many text messages or emails do you get from the places you shop from?
Oh my God.
Do you
I will say
She is my best
unsubscribe
friend.
from all that.
Do the same thing like
daily.
Yeah.
But like,
so your business should
they
run-
wouldn't send it daily if it wasn't statistically probable that they're going to make money.
Right,
Yep.
so instead of being nervous, like just go on the platforms and do like. That's why I don't understand sometimes when people are like, oh, everyone's always selling stuff. Well, you're always getting sold something all day anyway. And gosh, half my email is junk email, but I don't want to unsubscribe. So I'm like, one day,
Well,
I might need my coupon.
you gotta think about this too, and I think like
I don't
really,
know, like,
really
you know what
taking
I
that
mean?
layer off of like, oh, I get nervous in this I get nervous in this aspect of my
yeah.
life because I'm putting on a salesperson hat. Like, sweetheart, you're selling yourself to the banker you're talking to. You're selling yourself to the cashier you're talking to you sell yourself all day long. You sell yourself to the kids. Everything is a matter of selling an opinion, a value, a
Right.
persuasive idea. You know what I mean?
It's a service. You're just providing a service.
I love this. So we're actually going to segue, so perfect segue into, I actually want to hear what you guys are selling and what you have to offer and what your business is, right? Okay, so we like
It
to,
still makes me nervous.
and it's okay, like it's okay to feel nervous because this is like the space where this is like the greenhouse for growth. Right? If you think about a greenhouse, it's like this is the place where you are loved and nurtured. You can fumble, you can suck at your 30-second story, like you can suck at your offer, and we're still gonna love you. We're still gonna like foster your growth, and then like so that when you leave from this place, then and you encounter someone like, do we want like customers in this space? Absolutely. And do we want to like, I might like, maybe I'm gonna have Lauren, like maybe I'm gonna hire Lauren and maybe not, but I also keep in mind, oh, I have other mom friends, and if they like have babies and then they need to hire Lauren, right? So it's not just like this one-on-one like referral network, but it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna keep her in mind for that thing. But if I don't even know what she's offering, how can we do that, right? So, I actually want to hear what you guys have to offer, and I want to like hear your best sales pitch and who you love to serve and what you're about. And as you're listening to each woman come up here, I also want you to keep in mind, like, okay, perfect. Like, I know exactly who I'm going to send you a referral to, or I have a connection for you. I have a really great, like, we should go grab coffee with you and me and this other person because I think that there will be some really good whatever, right? So I want you to just kind of turn that part of your brain on as well as a connector. And you guys each get to come up here and give your best sales pitch. We want to hear it. I mean, not like a bad, like, sleazy sales. But like, make it a good one. We want to hear your passion. We want to hear your heart. We want to hear what you offer, how you help people, how you serve people, why you do what you do. And like, don't get like, this is like your pitch from stage. Which pitching from stage is really fun. So, all right, who wants to go first?
I'll totally go first.
All right, girlfriend, let's do it.
I feel like I'm always learning this statement, so that's why I was waiting for you to give your I believe statement.
Well,
As
we're
a
not, it's not
reminder.
necessarily like the I believe statement. This is like your pitch. Like, this is like, sell it, girl.
Which, all right. So my name is Kirsty, and I believe that women have a God-given identity and purpose in their lives that tends to fall to the surface, or following from the surface, especially as we get older and we do life, whether you have kids or not. I feel like over 40, we tend to lose who we are. So I offer Christ-centered coaching, which allows you to actually firmly have your purpose and identity fall in line in the scripture. So there's a foundation there, so that as you go through the healing or find your confidence, there's several different types of coaching that you can do with the scripture that I offer. But the foundation lies within the scripture. So that way it's scripture-based, because I do feel like there's a lot of coaching out there that is just manifesting in universe and things like that, which is totally fine if that's your thing. But I feel like there are other women who really want the Christ-centered part to really be the foundation. I also teach women how to use makeup, so I have the confidence to allow them to feel beautiful outside and inside, because I feel like confidence is both. It's inward and outward. And sometimes when we see ourselves, we don't see the beauty that God has created. And it's not that you need makeup to feel beautiful, because you totally don't. But sometimes it just reminds you of the beauty that God has given you, inward and outward. I do that by serving women. Women are who I serve. And that is what I do.
Love that.
You can go. I'll just pass.
Not
it
even
along.
asked. You're like, you're going. I like it. I
You
like
were
it.
chosen.
Okay, so I'm Victoria Tommy. I'm a business executive with ADP, with their People Management Division. So basically what I do is I sit down with business owners. I sit down with decision makers of organizations. And I show them ways that they can maximize the money they're spending when it comes to the people. I show them ways that they can control their costs when it comes to their people. And I also show them ways that they can add more value to their people that typically drives down their operating cost. What was the next part that we were supposed to talk about? I'm so sorry.
No,
That's
good.
really good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you,
really good.
you're doing
Yeah.
fine.
So I've been doing this for 13 years. I've been specifically been working with only C-level decision makers, owners of businesses, and I love being in this space. Why I specifically work for ADP and my fulfillment with that is that I sell what's called a PEO, and that's a professional employer organization. It's been around since the 80s, but it's actually brand new to Idaho. Idaho, being the wonderful state that we are, which I'm Idaho native, but Idaho just recently opened up their doors to PEO options. And what PEOs do, especially for small and medium-sized businesses, is it gives them the ability to operate at scale. When you think about it, business owners, they put their blood, their sweat, their tears, they put in everything into a business. But insurance companies, workers' comp companies, they don't look at that. They don't look at all the hard work you put into your business. They look at you as, how many lives am I going to be able to make money off of? And that's kind of a bitter way to look at it, right? So we allow small to medium-sized businesses to operate as if they are, equivalent to Walmart, to Amazon. ADP is actually the third largest employer, right next to Walmart and Amazon. So we have about 750,000 employees underneath our organization, which is fantastic. And I like to tell this story about what makes me so passionate about this is that family of 4, pretty normal, husband, 2 kids, nothing crazy, right? In my past life, I worked for a small startup business, 45 employees, fantastic company. But what really made it difficult for me, a mom, my husband's a stay-at-home dad, so single income as well too. I was paying about $2,000 a month on my insurance. My daughter needed a dentist appointment not too long ago, probably about 7 months ago. They quoted me $3,300 for that one appointment. Who has $3,300 laying around? I know. At least not all the time, just for emergencies like that, Long story short, coming over to ADP, having a large benefit group buying power, my insurance now for family of 4 is $600 a month. And my daughters, who just had their dentist appointment today, I end up paying $700 for both of them. So that's what makes me really passionate, is the fact that I'm able to affect the lives of local people here in Idaho. Because this is the only area that I service is Idaho people. Funny way of saying it. But what really stands out is that here in Idaho, we have some of the lightest laws and regulations when it comes to owning a business. So it makes it very favorable for Idaho to be a entrepreneur state. And it totally is. Within the last year, our amount of new businesses that came in Idaho, we grew by 238 new companies. And this is like brick and mortar companies. So if you think about it, if Idaho is producing all these wonderful, amazing businesses and is pouring into our community, that's exactly what I want to do for our community, is to be able to pour into our community and offer them what they're already getting today, but better. So that's what I do.
Love it. So good, girl.
Good job.
I don't know if I'm nervous. I'm Lauren Baker. I'm the owner of Dr. Lauren Baker In-Home Pediatric Physical Therapy, and I believe that parents deserve to learn how their littles move
And if their littles are struggling, to learn how to influence that movement through proactive play so that their littles can explore their cozy homes filled with love, with confidence and ease. I do that through in-home pediatric physical therapy services where I come to their homes, on their living room floor, with the mom or dad, sometimes both, and we really look at how the kiddo is moving and come up with a strategy to help them move better and to feel good in their bodies. I also do it through proactive play if parents are just curious about how they can play with their kids in a way that's advantageous to the stage they're in and the next stage that they're moving towards. And I have a huge passion for educating parents, both here in Idaho as well as beyond in different parts of the world. And I do that through YouTube videos and books that I have personally written that got awkward. Yeah, I think that's all.
Love it. Good job. Great. Love it.
But I like that I started adding the other pieces of my business to my pitch, and I haven't done that before. So that's a good involvement.
Yes.
I like it.
I love it. Evolving.
Evolving.
Whatever.
Yes, I like that word.
Evolution.
There we go, that word.
Involvement.
I love it. We still have a little bit of time. I'll share mine. So I believe that community and connection is one of the most important things that we can have in our life. We were created for connection. And there is no first prize for loneliest person at the top, and we're not meant to do it alone. I help cultivate and create community and connection through networking groups, through incredible events like what we're having actually on Saturday with Girls Night Out. Are you coming?
I have not got my ticket yet, but
I asked her.
you did. She did. She sent me a message. I will say that, like, I've been maxed out.
I know.
Um,
You told me. But I
might be
did.
a last. We'll see.
I told you I was sending personal messages.
I know.
She totally popped in my head.
I know, you should do that. You should come too.
You would actually have a lot of fun.
Mhm.
It would be fun.
So
to
we have our
have
Girls
you.
Night Out on Saturday. But we do this through just really cultivating genuine connection. In today's world, we actually have an epidemic of loneliness.
True.
The CDC just released recently an 80-plus page document about how loneliness is worse for your health than diabetes and heart disease. Then there's a couple other things that health-wise, that being lonely and being alone and isolated is worse for your health than those things. And so I don't take it lightly, the mission that we're on to create community. I don't take it lightly, the mission that we're on to bring the concept of networking out of the 1990s with bad 30-second stories and salty salesmen shoving the business card in your face. And so I'm excited for what we're doing. I'm excited for the community that we've cultivated. We have 8 different chapters, and we're actually just about to launch another one, which is really exciting, in Alaska. So it's amazing, and it's so fun, and it has been a really fun journey for me personally. So I'm just excited for how we started and the foundation that we have, and for where we're going. I think especially with AI, and people are gonna not know if that's a robot looking at them on Instagram or trying to sell them a whatever course. That the more human that we can get, and the more real that we can get, the more genuine and connected that we can get, heart to heart, belly to belly, business to business, soul to soul. That's going to be actually one of the highest value things that we can have moving forward. And so I'm excited for what we're doing. My ask is that this year we actually really want to grow and expand into more chapters, not necessarily in this area, but in other areas. So if there's someone that you know that they are kind of a connector, they are like a natural leader, They're kind of the gatherer. Like if you go out with your girlfriends, or like they're the ones that are like, hey, like let's all go out together. And they're just kind of the gatherer, the connector, the natural leader that, or maybe they're already in other networking groups and they tend to be in the room, but it's like actually they're meant to lead the room and to really help grow other leaders and just really give women a platform to be seen and heard and known and to belong. Then my ask is for a referral for another woman who could potentially be a really great chapter director. So that's what we got. So let your brain think on that. Let's see here. So just a reminder, obviously you're here today, so this is our first one that we just changed. The fourth Wednesday of every month from 4 to 6, so here's just kind of next quarter, the days, dates and times. So today, 24th, May 22nd, right after my birthday, yay! And then June and July. And then just a couple of reminders for some events. So Girls Night Out is this Saturday. So that is like Soul Sister meets Business Bestie. And this is, it's not your typical girls' night out. Do you get to get like dressed up and look cute? Yes. But we actually really, I don't know about you, but I facilitated this event, I want to say maybe 5 or 6 times. And it's actually like a really beautiful healing event. How many of you have ever, if you've ever heard of like a sisterhood wound, like if you've been hurt by other women, and it's called,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
it's called a sisterhood wound, and it comes like, I know for me, I've been hurt by other women, I've been gossiped about, or I've, even been in toxic friendships, or even that, like, it's like the one type of a friend that shows up and then they leave your life and all of a sudden another, it's like the same type of person and they show up in your life and you're like, I was past this, right? So we actually don't get past some of those wounds unless we like can go back and heal them. And so it's a really beautiful like healing space, a sacred space, but also then a really empowering space. And so we like dive right into the deep end of facing fears. We dive right into the deep end of even just really reprogramming. It's very intentional. Women gossip about you and whisper. But we actually reprogram some of that stuff in this space. And so it is an amazing event. Women leave transformed. They leave with their heart healed, they leave connected on a deeper level than what they knew they could be connected on. And so that's Girls Night Out this Saturday. And that is, if you guys have the email, then you have the website. We have our virtual Connecting Co-work, and then we have our Business Build Her Mastermind. If you're wanting a little bit more of the business strategy as well as the accountability, that's what our mastermind is. And then the May 22nd is our next and social. So those are your couple announcements. You have to say anything?
No.
No.
I'm just thinking with movements.
No, you're good. If you're not necessarily a member, then you might be asking like what membership is right for you. If you want to grow your business and you want specific business and marketing strategy, and if you're willing to invest in yourself and in accountability, then the Business Builder membership is perfect for you. If you want to grow your business, but you don't necessarily need specific business and marketing strategy, you're just really wanting a connection, then our networking or Business Bestie Connector membership is a really great fit for you. You can come twice as a guest, twice per year as a guest. We would hopefully see you more often than not. And then what we'll do is we'll just take a quick little, we got the video going right there, so we can just come right up here and we'll just do a quick little like, woo, woo, thanks for coming.
I love it.
Oh, I have a prize too.
I didn't realize that was a camera. I was staring at that thing like so much when I was talking. I'm like, it's just perfect to
soul.
stare at.
Right, squeeze on in. And Kirsty, do you have your phone on you?
Yeah.
I'm gonna maybe just set it up as a little vertical video as well.
Wow, this is like behind the scenes stuff, right? I always am curious. I'm like, how do people actually do this? Like, where do they put their phone? I want to know like the stupid like little things.
Honestly, I have
then
like
you
a
don't,
small
right?
stand that I use too. That's really like you can put it anywhere. You
Yeah.
can even carry it in a bag if you need to. I travel with it.
Okay.
All right.
Right. Well, I think you don't even
Squeeze
really
right on
like
in.
like you just make it harder, right?
Yeah, it's
Like-
not very complicated. All right, we'll smile. 1, 2, 3, and maybe like a little woo, arms up in the air. Yeah. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for coming.
It's just fun.
Yeah, I'm so
This
glad
is
you
great.
came. I mean, it's been a little smaller, and we had bigger groups, and so we're just kind of trying to rebuild this time and build like some of the community. We have a few other members that aren't necessarily they're not here today.
It's an adjustment. I almost forgot.
Yeah,
I know, we're kind of-
Totally.
And I was like, oh, we have church tonight. Do you want to go to church? Yes. I'm like, cool. I'll be home to eat and take you to church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like make dinner before I left. It was nice.
The Instant Pot. I Instant Potted the chicken before I left.
I finished the pan and I ready. So I was like, okay, husband, you have to finish. Cook the rest. So I did all like the
You did all the good
So-
work.
yes. So it's like, because my other son was overseas for the youth group. He was like, I'm going to prayer. So I was like, okay.